Hey guys, welcome to the channel. My name's Neil. Welcome back if you're a subscriber. It is time for another episode of Would I Lie to You? I'm becoming a huge fan of this show really quickly, and a large part of that is the recommendations I'm getting from you in the comment section. There was near universal push for me to start watching Bob Mortimer's appearances, so I'm continuing to do that. I'm going to watch all of Bob's appearances in chronological order. This will be his appearance from Series 9, and then we're going to go back and find another comedian who comes highly recommended, maybe a James Acast or a Greg Davies, or there's a growing list of recommendations that I'm receiving from commenters, and work our way through all of their appearances. And one of the other things I'm getting in the comment section is people saying, you know, there's compilations out there on YouTube where it's just 50 minutes of all of Bob Mortimer's bits. And that's great, you know, but I'm not doing this just to see Bob Mortimer. I'm doing this to learn more about the British comedy scene and hopefully discover some other comedians that I also think are really hilarious. So I could just watch all of Bob's bits, but I think that takes away something from the format of the show and being exposed to three other faces that are probably completely unfamiliar to me. So this is why I'm going to do these reactions as I'm doing them now, one episode of the show at a time. It's not all going to be about Bob, and you know, that's the way I'd prefer to attack this. I don't know if I will ever see every episode of WILTY, but I think I'm going to end up seeing quite a lot of them. I am curious about those first couple of seasons. I know David and Lee were part of the show back then, but there was a different presenter. Rob Brydon didn't join until Series 3. And while the format's the same, the tone of the show is a little bit different. You know, I'm sure I'll check them out eventually, but those are probably my lowest priorities. Eventually, I have a feeling I'm going to see a fair chunk of what's out there and available. And I also see that Series 15 is just about to start filming, so those episodes are probably going to start appearing in the coming months, and I look forward to seeing those, really current stuff. Let's watch an episode now. This is episode 2 of Series 9 of Would I Lie to You?
On Lee Mack's team tonight, a man who recently received a prestigious award for slapstick comedy. It was a real pat on the back, followed by a kick up the bum and a pie in the face. It's Bob Mortimer! A comedy actress who collects vintage clothes for a hobby. Have a look in David's wardrobe, you'll be in for a treat. It's Catherine Parkinson. A sports fanatic and one of the finest BBC presenters. Football, cricket, boxing, just 3 of the things she could beat me at. It's Gabby Logan. And a wildlife expert who is always on the lookout for strange and unusual species. So if halfway through the show he throws a net over Lee, we'll know why. It's Steve Bagshaw.
All right. So 3 new faces again for me.
I once had to give Alan Hansen a piggyback across a muddy car park because he didn't want to ruin his new suede shoes.
Who is Alan Hansen?
Are you serious, by the way?
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
Yes.
I think he's the handsome Thunderbirdy one.
I once had to give Isla Fisher a piggyback ride for the exact same reason, so it could happen.
The car park was actually flooded in some areas and quite wet, and we'd had an evening match. It was an FA Cup replay, and he was joking about his shoes, and I, for a laugh, said, just jump on.
And how far...
Mark Lawrenson said, oh, don't worry, Gabby will give you a lift. And I said, I will. I'm strong.
Who is Mark Lawrenson?
Does she work on, like, the British equivalent of ESPN, I'm assuming? Because, yeah, the ESPN personalities, they're pretty famous over here.
2 words for you, Duncan Bannatyne. That's it. Woeful defender.
Woeful.
Who are you doing now? That's Harry Seacombe.
I know none of the names, and yet it's still entertaining.
So what do you think? Could she have done this?
I buy it.
I mean, I'm still not entirely sure who Alan Hansen is. I've got very confused.
I don't think it's true. Sorry. I just have this feeling deep inside that Alan Hansen and Mark Lawrenson don't speak to Gabby.
I know what you mean. I've been swayed now.
I say yes.
It is A lie.
As a teenager, I used to terrorise my neighbourhood with a game I invented called Theft and Shrubbery.
What were the rules of theft and shrubbery?
Let me
Can I
think.
first of all say my memories of this are a bit sketchy?
Always handy for this game.
They're more like just, you know, just fingerprints on an abandoned handrail.
Even while you poetically describe the ageing process, another part of your brain is inventing the rules of a fiction. Yeah.
It's a game that I played in my youth, in my teens, on the Lakes estate in Middlesbrough. I would probably be 14 or 15. I hope that's all the information you need.
He's very good at pretending to lie.
Do you have any recollection as to what this game involved?
Yes, of course.
Of course. In which case, I'm satisfied and there's no need to tell.
There would have to be a gang of you. I would usually be with Staver and Bagger.
I didn't realise you knew hobbits.
Neil Overall, Jerry Dungaree's son, of course.
Jerry Dungarees.
And Gary Cheeseman would be there.
Gary
The reason it's
Cheeseman.
called Cheesy is because his mum used to give him a cheese, do you know the cheese slice?
Yeah.
To take out with him when we were hanging around the shops and that, because she thought it was good for his spots. She wanted to burst and slice. Gary Cheeseman was a big lad, yeah? A very big head. Sniper's dream, they used to call him.
Bob, let's all gather round the fireside. You can tell us tales of your youth.
You had to creep into the back of someone's house and observe the family watching the telly or whatever they're doing, yeah?
It's getting a bit sinister now, Bob.
Yeah, I know. This is on the evening time, yeah.
So the family, as it were, backlit by the domestic lighting.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
You'd slowly walk towards the window and you'd chant, increasing the volume as you went. We do beg your pardon.
What?
We are in your garden.
And see how close you can get before they see you?
As soon as you were seen, that's when Shrubbery comes in. You were not allowed to escape via the front of the property. You had to go across all the fences, run through all the gardens.
That's the shrubbery part.
That's the shrubbery
What's the
side.
theft part?
The theft is we just always felt that we were stealing something from them. I don't know. Their privacy, their dignity.
We do beg your pardon. We are in your garden. You're shouting. How loud? Elderly people who are hard of hearing. You could be going, we do beg your pardon. We are in your garden.
Could be theft and shrubbery night. There was another night where we used to take fruit and throw that up in the air and just let it drop on our heads.
It tells me you played that quite a lot, Bob.
Cheeseman was very good at it.
The details are so utterly believable and sound like they're real.
Yeah. I know it sounds odd, but
It's absolutely true.
I was telling the truth.
Bob could tell me about the fight he got into on the moon, and I think it would actually be true. Not that I necessarily believe him, but that it would actually be true.
So please welcome this week's special guest, Miller.
Miller.
Steve, what is Miller to you?
This is Miller. He presented me with a trophy after I rode 2 miles down a river on an inflatable rhino.
A 2-mile row on an inflatable rhino. That's a heck of
This is Miller,
a challenge.
and I know Miller because we often take one of my dogs flying.
This is Miller. I accidentally outbid him for a cuckoo clock when I sneezed at an auction.
It takes place in Fort William in Scotland, and I very rarely go there.
And is this an annual event?
Yes, it's the river that runs down the side of Ben Nevis, which is a whitewater river, and it's run on lilos, usually.
But I know that is true, that Fort William is near Ben Nevis, so that bit is definitely...
The geography checks.
It's paddled to raise money for the mountain rescue. And,
what a man.
Everyone else is on lilos.
As in the traditional, what I'm thinking of as a lilo is just like a bed that's inflatable.
Traditional, what you sleep on when you go camping.
Oh, like an air mattress. I was trying to figure out what a lilo was.
I went down to Toys R Us to try and get what I thought would be... I wanted to get an inflatable T-Rex, but they didn't have one. They just had a rhino.
So you're saying there's a great big Toys R Us next to Ben Nevis?
That's not true.
Geography lady knows.
You two take the dog.
Yes, Miller flies the plane.
And what do you do?
Right,
You're
so
a passenger or are you learning to fly?
No, I'm not yet. I'm not learning to fly yet. But
That's instantly much more credible because I thought you meant that your dog flew on its own.
Now she's back in contention.
I think it was about £250.
And had you been bidding up to that point and then stopped?
I had not.
Did not bid at all?
No.
What were you there for?
I was there because my wife wanted to buy a dining room table. I'm terribly, terribly posh. Of course, it's a ridiculous situation. Someone sneezes, they just happen to have the number slightly visible and the auctioneer takes that as a bid. What sort of a system is that?
I buy the rhinoceros.
Well, I believe that he gets hay fever, David, but none of the rest of it.
So you believe the cool thing?
So I believe Gabby. I think that all sounds...
I don't believe Gabby's story, but I do think he looks like a pirate.
He looks like a man who's desperate for a cuckoo. He looks like a man whose budgie recently died. He's looking for some company once an hour, but just for a split second.
I think it's Steve. I think it's the rhinoceros.
Okay, I'm Miller. I presented Steve with a trophy for riding down a river on an inflatable rhino.
Yeah. Love that Scottish accent.
Last month, I was honoured to be made captain of my netball team.
How many players are there in a netball team?
What?
How many players are there in a netball team?
You didn't let me finish the sentence. Last month, I was honoured to be made captain of my netball team. Shortly afterwards, I was sacked after I picked the wrong amount of players.
Go through the positions for me then. Will you remind me again what they are?
What's the name of the team?
Well, I go by their initials. One was called GK.
What's the name of the overall team?
Yeah, that's what was on their overalls.
What position do you play?
I played the goalkeeper.
No, you have a goalkeeper and a goal defence.
Oh, okay. Do you?
Yeah.
Thank God for that.
You actually got one right.
I don't think we established the name of the team. They must have had a name. What is the team name?
Like there's the Surrey Storm.
Oh,
so with these ladies.
Yeah, I got it. It was the Surrey Storm.
That would be too much of a coincidence.
Life is full of coincidence.
Well, I was only in it for a short period of time, I think you'll find, because this was only last month, so I've only just joined it.
But you've been immediately made captain.
Listen, the first day I turned up here, I was made captain. What's the difference?
So you're allowed to have 1, 2, 3. Could you have 7 men playing in the ladies' league?
No, you're thinking of the men's league.
Do you think it happened?
No, I don't think it happened
I
at all.
don't think it happened.
You're going to say it's a lie. All right.
There was a semblance of truth at the very end there,
Is
but
it
it's
in fact a lie?
yeah, surprise, surprise.
No matter how hard I try, I can never properly pronounce the name Mick Hucknall.
What's that supposed to be?
Well, I would pronounce Mick Hucknall as Mick Hucknall, and Mick Hucknall I pronounce as Mick Hucknall, and that's the problem.
You can say Mick Hucknall, but not when you mean Mick Hucknall.
That's right, yeah.
What do you have to mean in order to say Mick Hucknall?
Mick Hucknall.
Right. There you
Like
said when you say Mick
Hucknall.
Hucknall, you mean Mick Hucknall.
That's right.
When you
It's a
say
bit
Mick Hucknall, you mean Mick Hucknall. So what you were saying then is, when you say Mick Hucknall, you mean Mick Hucknall, which means you can say Mick Hucknall to mean Mick Hucknall. So you're fine. It's a lie.
There might have actually been real logic to that.
I'm imagining it is spelt like Mick Hucknall. It's a problem as an actress when you have to sort of read scripts and you can't, so I have to have them rewritten.
You could concentrate on working in sort of classical theatre before, because I don't think Shakespeare mentions Mick Hucknall a couple of times.
A script
That's
without
a really good
his
tip.
name in it, though, is simply read.
Nod to you, Rob Brydon.
I think it has a ring of truth.
It's true.
That was, in fact, a lie.
Oh, bugger.
I can reveal that David's team have won by 4 points to 1.
Maybe I'm not going to get exposed to as many comedians as I would have hoped. I like that I'm getting a diverse cross-section of B-list British personalities, but I do not know any of them. But I like that it's not just a game for comedians. Like, it's just, can you tell a good story? You know, are you a convincing liar? And anyone who's, even people who aren't in the public eye can be incredibly good liars. I'd like to think I'm a pretty good liar myself. I have my own techniques. I'm not going to share them with you because I need to maintain an advantage. But, theft and Shrubbery, man. I can totally envision teenage boys doing something this stupid and verging on criminal. Because what 14-year-old boy doesn't do stupid, verging on criminal things when they're bored in the evening? It's just kind of what teenage boys are for. So yeah, I totally buy it, but Bob's just got this way of telling a story, and like he starts off, I don't know whether it's just his natural way or whether it's intentional or not, but he starts off putting on airs like he has no idea what he's about to say. Like he's making it up as he goes. He looks and sounds like he's pressing down his fluster, so to speak. There's so many levels of bluff in there, and I think most of them are conscious, and it just makes him so hard to read. But I'm getting to the point now where no matter how ridiculous one of his stories sounds, I just assume it's true, because it sounds like he's had such a bizarrely entertaining life. You know, I do continue to question whether you can make up details in a true story, though, because, you know, like the names of his friends and stuff just seem so outlandish and over the top and ridiculous that they can't all be true. But maybe they are. Maybe the producers are like, oh, make up names, it doesn't matter as long as the truth of the core truth of the story is true, and you tell that. I don't know. Anyway, I love this show. It's a ton of fun. That was Bob Mortimer's appearance for Series 9. Stay tuned in a few days. We're going to do his appearance from Series 10. So until then, take care, stay healthy, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.